Okay. Oh, man. Oh, goodness. Afternoon. Good afternoon. I'm getting myself together here. I've got myself a nice thing of water because it's that time of the year where the allergies are doing the most. They're doing the most. Uh, but we like to start start a little early, give folks time to get in. Mm, 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 mm. Oh, nature's elixir. Nature's elixir. So I'm happy that I've got a little little cold water on me. And I need to probably take another couple of allergy pills so that we can keep the nasal passages together, right? I hear that today is high in terms of pollen and things, but it's great running weather. So it's always so conflicting because you want to go out, but you're like, if I go out, I need to be protected. I did do the nasal spray. I did do that, but I did not take the allergy pill. Hey, Spencer, afternoon, sir. Thank you for joining. I was going to practice, but I decided to not go with my other microphone. Sometimes you don't realize all the tools you have available to you until you start looking around. You're like, oh, wait, I have this other mic. Let me try this other mic out because I move a lot. I do a lot. I talk with my hands. And so I thought, well, let me do a different microphone, and then that would be a good thing for me because I move around a lot. But I didn't like the sound quality. It was good, but it wasn't great. It wasn't better than this one. So we're gonna stick with just this one. Although Amazon is trying to sell me another microphone. I mean, I went on last night and it's like, you need a new mic. And I was like, no, no, I don't. I don't need a new mic yet. Not yet. I'm looking at it, maybe, but I'm not gonna do it yet. Like, no, not gonna do it yet. So as I turn on my timer, because I would like for this message to be 35 minutes. I'm thinking 35 minutes. So I want to turn my timer on to keep myself together, right? Because Gwendolyn would get to talking, and next thing you know, it'd be an hour and some change, and I don't need to do all of that. Sweet, sweet, sweet. So let me just get back to what we were talking about last week. We're going to recap last week, um, like in a matter of minutes. And last week we talked about understanding the value of a 1-star review, and it was just one of those things where the Google machines were listening to me, and I came upon an article this morning of a restaurant who decided that they would be extra snarky with a 1-star review that they received from a customer who arrived after hours, I think twice. And I get that it's so easy to get in your feelings and go toe to toe with people. It's not a good move. It's just not a good move. But more than that, if you have people who are arriving after hours, because it happens, maybe the sign that has the hours isn't as clear as you think it is, right? Like, that's the whole point of getting these reviews, is that there could be something in there that allows you to be better than what you believe you are. And two, if you respond in a gracious manner, that's going to win you customers 5,000 times over versus being snarky. I mean, it's just to each his own, right? It's not my business. What can I tell you? It's not the energy I would participate in. So I probably wouldn't go to that restaurant. But I'm just saying. But know that we decided last week, we as a collective decided last week, that there is not a perfect company. Perfect does not exist. Unicorns don't exist. And so having a perfect 5-star rating for your business actually is not a plus, but a negative. Customers trust anything from a 4 to a 4.8 because that says that you're human and that you have good days and bad days just like them. And for that, you are far more trustworthy than if you had this amazing 5-star review after 100 people have interacted with your company. It is quite amazing, But again, we're not judging. The focus here is to strive to be better. And for every review you receive, what can you take from that review that makes your business better? If you believe that your hours are clear and yet you still have people arriving after the fact, something's not clear. Something's not clear. But again, so who am I? I'm G. Hello, afternoon. Thank you for tuning in, joining for wherever you are from. If you want to share where you're from, by all means, throw that into the chat because, it's the World Wide Web, right? That's how we do it. I'm a life and career coach at HouJack Digital Marketing Solutions, and my focus is to truly help other business owners, small, medium, whomever, get it together, right? Because a lot of things that we see out here is about the business, but we rarely talk about how to truly deliver on this amazing customer experience. And when things don't go well, what does that look like? Because everybody's great when everything is great. We're all riding high because everything is great. And then the moment something comes in that's not so great, we get in our feelings and don't know how to, interact with people and maintain that professional composure. So we're here for that. We're here for that. We're about continuing education for small and medium owned businesses that are owned by Black and Brown persons. So the customer isn't always right. Everything is awesome. I love that. Everything is awesome. I'm not going to do it. The customer isn't always right. So this lady, this is so perfect. This lady who arrived after hours twice, she isn't right, right? In the 1-star review she gave. She had every right to leave that 1-star review because, again, the reviews are not about the moment I give you a plate of food or cut your hair or serve you a drink. It's about the interaction. That's it, right? It's about the interaction. It's about the customer's experience. So she had every right to leave a 1-star review if she's come there now twice and it's after hours and she couldn't get in. Do I believe that you should go to a place after hours? Well, personally, no, I do not. But as a business owner, I could take that and turn it around and have it work in my favor for the customer and for future customers that I might get who are reading these reviews. That's what I would do. Now, the customer isn't always right, but why is that? I don't know. I was looking up who created that phrase, and there's a couple of people who have been given the credit of coining the phrase. I've seen, was it Harry Selfridge and Marshall Field? I mean, there's people nobody really knows. And I get where they were coming from, but of course, things get twisted. People think if a customer says you should do this, then you should do it. But that's not what that is, right? That's not what that's about. So let's take the first step. First, we gotta not be personal. It's not about being right. Now, me personally, I have adopted, I shouldn't say have, because it's now past tense. I adopted a few years ago, taking out the idea of being right. Because it's not about being right. So when people are like, yeah, you're right, you're right. It's like, no, it's not about being right. I'm not trying to be right. I'm trying to have a conversation to make sure that we understand each other. That's the focus, right? So it's not about being correct. There is nothing to win, right? What you want to do is gain perspective. See this from the other person's point of view. But to do that, you got to remove the personal. There is nothing to win. It's not about I'm right, you're wrong. Yeah. That's not it. That's not it. So again, remove the personal from it. And then hopefully, you are ready to listen and hear and truly understand where this person is coming from. Now, the reason why we are saying the customer isn't always correct is because customers are not aware of the policies or the procedures we have in place to not only protect them, but to also protect the business. And that's where it gets funny, right? Because I know I am not a typical retail customer. I have written training, I have developed training, I have worked on different POS systems. So I know that there are things you can do in terms of software. So when I go to a place and they're struggling, I don't tell them. I just say, well, aren't you able to do blah, blah, blah? Because I don't know what their best practice is for their business. Maybe they can do what I'm thinking. Maybe they cannot. Maybe their POS system is limited in those ways, right? But we don't know as a customer what that person can and can't do on our behalf. So it's not just give them whatever they want, although I have seen that and we'll talk about that. But it's about how do I make sure that I exceed the expectations of this customer? So I'm going to tell a quick story, right? And I love this story because it's like, it's so, previous job, I was, again, training manager, hiring manager, did all that stuff, right? Sold some stuff. So we sold custom closets. And there was a lady who called to buy a closet. It was $1,500. That's what it was. We didn't want to sell it to her. When I say we, she went through two salespeople, as well as like a floor lead. And everybody kept telling her no, they would not sell her this closet. And then it got to me. Now, nothing should really ever get to me. When it gets to me, I'm like, seriously, really? Because everybody has the power to handle these things. It's never, I got to go get permission from so-and-so manager. We didn't operate that way. Everybody had the right to make these decisions in the moment for the customer. It makes sense because we hire great people who can think, but that's a whole nother conversation right there. So it gets to me. And so, yes, I have people giving me the backstory, but you never want to take the backstory. You want to make sure that you are going in unbiased eyes, ears, mindset. You want to have the person tell you the story from their perspective one more time because you don't want to go in with the bias. So she tells me, I just want to buy my closet. Just want to get it done, had design, yada, 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 blah, blah, blah. Now, when I looked at her closet, her design, it didn't fit. Like her closet was 15 inches deep and the shelving was 18. Now, I don't know what kind of math y'all are accustomed to, but where I come from, 15 is less than 18. And 18, I don't care how you squeeze it, it's not gonna fit. Like it's not gonna happen. Like a size 10 foot it feels really bad in a size 9 shoe. Like it's gonna be painful. It's going to be some problems. So I look at it and I say, well, ma'am, your design doesn't work. Now, mind you, the person who designed it, because it's a computer, right? Like you can override every red X known to man. It's a computer. It's like driving a car. You can do whatever you want to do. So whoever did it just completely ignored all the X's. So now I have to explain why my counterpart in some other part of the country didn't do or follow a best practice. And so her whole deal was, I just want to buy the closet. I said, okay, we have two options here because I can sell you this closet that I know is not going to work. You can take all your stuff out. You can waste 3 hours waiting for a delivery. It gets to your house. It doesn't fit. Now you're frustrated, right? And you got clothes all over your bed. Stuff doesn't work. You got to come back and either pay for another delivery to come pick it up. Like all this stress, all this frustration, unless we stop right here and right now and decide that you should not buy this closet. I said, we are customer advocates. Now, if you are really about service and you are an honest business, you will not sell people what they do not need or what doesn't work. You can do it. You won't be in business long, right? Because your reputation gets around that you're that kind of person who will just sell any and everything. That's not how we thrive. It's not how I thrive. So I explained to her, I was like, as an advocate for customers, I cannot in good conscience sell you this closet knowing it doesn't work. That's just no, it's not what we do. Now, what I didn't know is that she already took the closet down. Needless to say, we got her a solution. We got her the right thing, right? And in her head, it was just do as you're told. I'm the customer. This is what I want. You should do it. That is not the way to go. It's not. So let's just talk about some of the things that we do again to protect the customer, right? Like you have best practices in place because you don't want them to just buy things that don't work for them and then get frustrated. You could definitely do it. We are fortune tellers. You can tell your customer you got two options. We could either do it the right way and you can be happy, or we could do it your way and you can be upset and out of money and wasting your time. Which way do you prefer to go? That's how I like to look at it. Although I do share that graciously, that's how we lay it down for them. When we step in as expert and tell them why, which is what my colleagues did not do, no one ever told her why they wouldn't sell it to her. They just told her no. And we'll talk about why we don't like to use no next week because, like, nobody likes to hear no. There's a way to say no without saying no. The idea is to go the extra mile to say that, hey, I'm looking out for you. I'm looking out for the business because any time wasted with this horrible idea is just money wasted on our side. That's payroll wasted, that's labor wasted, it's time, all of it. Like we both lose. Customer loses, business loses, right? And we're not here to lose money. The idea is to make money. That's the idea. Now, for her, she was surprised. She was really surprised. We did a lot of different things to accommodate her. That one, she found faith in us again because some way or another, I had to, as we mentioned last week, I had to apologize for my colleague not doing a good job because it kept going back to, well, why would this person give me this if it wasn't right? Now, I'm not one for throwing anyone under the bus because my teammate is also me. So if my teammate fails, I am also failing. So it was a simple, you know what? I apologize. I'm thinking maybe you guys, were talking and having a great time, as you mentioned, and they just overlooked it. Whatever it is, you still have to apologize for that, which we did. We apologized for it without throwing my teammate under the bus. And that, of course, takes grace. But we exceeded her expectations by not just giving in to whatever she asked for, right? We rebuilt the faith in us as experts. We gained her trust again. Gwendolyn was shining that day because, we come up with some things. We were shining, right? But that's what you get when you stop and really listen without any bias to figure out what needs to happen. Now, some people will say, well, there are customers that are very demanding and you just have to do whatever you're told. Everybody's not your customer. Can I just say that? Oh, wait, I just said it. Everyone is not your customer. My dad was clear in saying that all money is not good money. It just isn't. I have had customers, even in my own business, who demanded certain things, and I'm perfectly fine with walking away. When we go hunting for people who are not our ideal clients, not our ideal customer, not our customer at all, you get stress, strife, and gray hair. That's what you get. Have I been there? Yes. I have looked back and said, you know what, G, you should have just said no. Because now you're getting all of this extra that you did not ask for, nor are you accustomed to, because they are not your customer. There are people who are aspirational. They would like to be your customer. And aspirational comes in two forms. It could be monetary aspirational, or it could just be energy, right? Like I have the money and I can buy anything that I want to buy. I can even buy you. Well, actually, you cannot. Because although I am a small business, I still get to dictate who I serve, right? Like if I don't want to shoot your wedding or your birthday party or whatever you're doing, we don't have to do it. That's how that works. There's a thing that says Gwendolyn is her own business, so she can do her own thing. That's how that works. Where we tend to get into trouble is that we see a customer and we immediately think, ooh, this is it. But if your butterflies are going off, if there's like bells that are like, ooh, something about the energy isn't quite right, and you're getting these little triggers, that's your body telling you this is not your customer. And although it may be a $10,000 sale, a $100,000 sale, Even if you believe I can deal with it because it's XYZ dollars, peace of mind is priceless, right? You can never pay me enough to give up that. So when people start saying certain phrases, they're demanding things before they're even in the door. The emails sound kind of funny. The phone calls sound kind of funny. The energy is just not vibing. That's not your customer. So they don't get to be included in this conversation because we're talking about people who are your customers, people who value what you do, love what you do, support you as a business, told others about you. It's them. These are your people, right? Not the one-offs, not the outliers. You don't want to put any energy into the outliers. Like they can go there. And it can seem kind of funny that, hey, I just passed up on an XYZ job. But when you find out all the huss and fuss that came with, then you got to ask yourself, shoot, was that worth it? You're darn right it was, because I am sleeping very well, not worried about this person. And when I tell you, I've had my fair share of a couple of things that I thought I will never do that again. I meant that. We will never do that again. So being able to identify your customer and walking away from what's not for you, feel good in walking away what's not for you. We are talking about people who are your customer, and that when things go wrong, and things may go wrong, everything isn't always so happy-go-lucky in the world. Things go they go wrong. Like maybe it's they're running late for their appointment, they have to reschedule something. Things happen. That's called life. We make our plans, but we're not really running anything. We can only control our response to what's happening around us. We do not really control what's going on outside these doors. Like we really don't. The idea when you're working with this situation is to make sure that you are doing what's best for all parties involved. So that is yourself and that is your customer, right? We're not trying to give out the baby, the bedroom set, and all the toys. Like, no, you still have to eat. And there is a way to do that without breaking the bank. And again, establishes trust, right? You rebuild that relationship. And the customer's like, here I thought that I knew it all. And I knew when I came in here, I had the best idea on how to solve this problem. But turns out I didn't have the best idea. Nope, because they're not running a business. Now, I do want to say this. This is not about the outliers, but there are no difficult customers. And I know that I have some friends in the retail world who are like, I know you did not just put that lie out there. Yeah, I said it. There are no difficult customers. There are difficult situations because the same customer who just sat in your chair, got their nails done, got their hair done, can be the same customer who comes back next week and all of a sudden you guys are not seeing eye to eye. Now, last week, she was your best friend, told all her friends about you. People came in based on her referrals and reviews. You love this customer. But in this one moment, this one situation, you guys aren't seeing eye to eye. And all of a sudden, you find yourself on the back end of, okay, so now what? So the customer is not difficult. Are there some folks who have like a personality complex? Perhaps. Everybody has their something. Everybody's got their something. Some people need attention and things like that. But the customer themselves are not difficult. They're not. And I understand that sometimes you have to play into some ego and all that, whatever. Whatever. There are some people who are egocentric. I've had a couple of those. But when I really sat down to talk to them, because I just happened to have that job where there was someone that everybody could not see eye to eye with, they ended up on my desk. We have the patience of Job. So I'm gonna work with you. I'm gonna figure it out. I'm gonna figure it out. So we're gonna talk about those difficult situations, but we're really gonna talk about how do you accommodate the customer because we mentioned that there is a place where you have to do what's right for all parties. I will tell you the first thing to solve any problem is to just apologize. You're human. I'm done. I apologize. We acknowledge we dropped the ball, and you now have your product, and the world's going to keep on turning. That's how most of your situations should end. And your customer will be more than happy with an apology. Believe it or not, more than happy with an apology. But every blue moon, you may have to, you know, give a little something to rebuild that trust. Or you may give a little something to thank them for giving you a second chance. It's not required. It may not be necessary. You have to play it by ear, use your gut on it. But it's a tough one. I know when I was looking back at what I did from full-time job, what I have done for my own customers, because I've had a couple where I thought, okay, this may not work in my favor. Let me go ahead and do XYZ to be done with this. And then, if you're on any kind of social media platform in any sort of circle, you have seen the conversations of business owners trying to figure out, I've got this customer, they are stressing me out. They don't like XYZ product, or, here I am, photographer. They don't like the photos. If you watch Judge Judy, People's Court, any kind of court show, there's always some wedding photographer that's in the courtroom defending their work, and some, pardon me, some bride and her mama claiming that the wedding was ruined because of these photos. We know it's there. Accommodating a customer is one of the hardest things that as a business owner that you have to deal with. And it goes back to that last point. I get that Susie Q wants all of her money back from this wedding that you just photographed, but your time is still worth something, right? So she's not getting all her money back. Like, that's a no. Your time still gets paid there. And then people go to the place of, well, if you're not going to do what I ask, we'll just go on social media and bash you. Okay, well, that's fine too. That's perfectly fine. We don't mind that. What you never want to do is allow people who are going to threaten you, again, not your customer, to dictate or influence your decision. Even if you gave somebody whatever they wanted, they can still go out and bash you afterwards. Just know that. Been there, done that. Not my own business, not my own. But I have seen customers who, after you have jumped through all the hoops, done all the things, they still go back out there and they bash you on social media. So never let, I call it, empty threats influence your decision. That's not the way. It's not the way to go. So next week, hey, Gwendolyn's on time. Hoo, hoo, hoo. Next week, we're going to talk about accommodating and what it looks like. I'm going to tell you again, for most people, a sincere apology goes a long way. You don't have to do much. Like, you really don't. You don't have to do, let me give you a free smoothie or a gift card or my firstborn child. None of that's really necessary. Just saying. And I understand that, at least in this environment, in our society, there is this sort of idea that if something goes wrong, somebody owes me money. I don't know where that came from. Last time I checked, I'm not running the weather. You live in the Northeast and it's winter. So you should know that when a nor'easter's coming through, it's about to be down. Like, no one's leaving their house to make deliveries. So acts of God are beyond anybody's control, right? So accommodating somebody for that is like ridiculous. And I have seen it. I've seen where, there's been tornadoes and floods and somebody's like, but where's my delivery? Probably still in Memphis at the airport because everybody's grounded, right? So we'll talk about that next week. we'll look at how do you make really good financial decisions for both you and your customer and your business so that you get to keep your lights on. We're going to go there. We're going to go there. So I am happy that Gwendolyn did exactly what she said she would do. I wanted to keep this one 30 minutes. get us in, get us back to whatever we're doing out there today. And if I may share one more thing, now that I'm, preparing for next week, my dad, and I'm sure you've all heard this too, my dad would always tell us that, all money isn't good money. It's not. And there's going to come a place where, yeah, you're going to wish you had XYZ customers knocking down your door. But I go back to, if this job, if this project, if this customer is going to stress you out, if it's going to cost your peace of mind, it's not worth it. There's never enough money that will make it worth the stress and the strife. It's just not. But to each his own, right? Like, who am I to judge how you decide what your mental health and well-being, how much it costs, right? This isn't my place. All right. So thank you all for joining. Oh, I didn't even ask. Are there any questions? Are there any? I see Erica's down there with her. Everything is awesome. If there are any questions, let me know. I know there's a slight delay in the chat because, we don't want people to share awful things. We live in that kind of world. We do know that, right? We live in that kind of world. Don't want to have people share any awful things. But if there are not any questions, I am going to end this one right on. Well, okay, so I'm a few minutes over. I'm okay with that. It's not too bad. I wanted to keep it to 30 minutes, because you can talk forever and people got other things to do. No offense. I would love to get out and do a few more things. But next week, we're going to talk about a little rough justice. We'll look at, how do you decide how to accommodate a customer? How much money should you put in it? And when should you just like walk away from it? She said, yes, they can bash you even if you give them what they ask for. Yeah. Well, yeah, I have seen it from my previous job. I have seen fellow colleagues literally give people just about the entire order for free. And then even after that, they still go and say horrible things about you and leave negative reviews. You cannot buy reviews. So, you know, those kinds of decisions, like, if you don't do what I'm asking you to do, if you don't do this, I'm going to go on social media and I'm going to tell everybody how horrible you are. Well, that's where your reputation steps in. Okay, which we'll talk about next week as well. But we mentioned last week, if you were to get a negative review that is so off, Google says, you know what, that just seems really weird. It doesn't even seem legit. So they'll hold it. They may eventually post it, but they'll hold it. But that one star, it's not the end of the world. Not when everybody else has talked about how wonderful your business is, how great your food is. This is where reputation and being consistent in your level of service works in your favor, right? So don't sweat the small things, as they say. Like, so she left one star. Okay, great. Have at it, kid. It's fine. And you may realize afterwards that person was not your customer anyway. Like, I learned, although they never left a review, I mean, I thought they would, but they didn't. I learned that person was not my customer. I was like, Gwendolyn, you should not have gone down this pathway. You live and you learn. So I am telling all of you, those little jitters in your gut, those butterflies, that little trigger in your head that's like, ooh, ooh, those are signs. That is your body, your mind telling you this is not going to end well. You should run. You should run. Sweet. Thank you, Erica and Spencer, for sharing your thoughts and saying hello. Next week, a little rough justice. We're going to talk about the money. We got to talk about the money. We're going to do it. All right. See you guys then.